Hi, everybody. I'm David Bach. I want to welcome you to David Bach TV. This is a very special moment right now. I am here interviewing my good friend, Robin Sharma. And I have to be honest here. Robin didn't ask me to do this interview. I've been pestering him to do it. He has been working on an incredible book for four years. Am I saying that? Is that true? 4 years. And he's been open about his process of working on it. He's been sharing it with his friends and social media. And so as he's been working on this book, I just couldn't wait to read it. And I also couldn't wait to put it in front of my community. So I asked Robin, can we do a pre-interview before the book comes out so I can let everybody in my community know about this amazing book before the world knows about it? The book is called The 5 a.m. Club. And I love the subtitle, by the way, Robin. It's called Own Your Morning and Elevate Your Life. And if you don't know who Robin is a legend. He has sold over 15 million books. Let me make sure I say this correctly. Over 15 million books. Robin I met about 14, 15 years ago. The first book of Robin's I read, by the way, buddy, was this one. The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. This is a legendary book. The other book I read of yours was The Leader Who Had No Title, which is just a phenomenal book. I read in your bio the other day that tell me if is this true? You're in over 70 languages?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, as an author, I'm sorry. Let me just go like this to you for a second, because I just came from my meeting at Simon & Schuster, and I told them with the new book I was just telling you about, the Latte Factor, that I want to be in 35 languages. I didn't even know that 70 languages was possible. So now I have to go back and up that. You have helped so many people, and for maybe people who don't know you personally, could you just give us a little bit about who Robin is, and then I really want to dive into the 5 a.m. Club, because I think this is going to be your biggest book yet. It's going to help the most amount of people. So thank you for being here.
Hey, David, thank you so much, and you're so gracious and very generous intro. I just say, in terms of a descriptive of me, I'm a human being on a mission trying to help as many people as possible. And it's as simple as that. You're right about the new book. It's taken me 4 years of handcrafting it. One of my new favorite words is painstaking. And, I wanted to get this book, The 5 a.m. Club. It's a quirky, mystical, mysterious, fascinating, transformational book. There's drawings in it, there's neurobiology in it, there's the morning routine of history makers in it, there's mental models in it, and it's been quite a ride trying to get the work done. But yeah, it'll be out soon, so I'm excited.
Well, and also, let's talk about Paulo Coelho for a moment, because he's my hero, and I know he probably had a huge influence on you, and he endorsed this book. Paulo wrote, as I don't have my glasses on here, Robin Sharma helps people all over the world lead great lives. And that's an incredible quote coming from Paulo Coelho. So what was it why this book now? I know this has been a personal journey of yours that you've thought about this book for 20 years. Why did you write this book now? And then why did it take 4 years for you to write it?
Well, I think the world is in what I call the age of dramatic distraction. And if you look at the world, there's intense volatility. A lot of people are addicts, and it's not heroin, cocaine, or food, or carbs, or whatever. It's technology. And, technology is an awesome servant. I was thinking this morning how you can serve the world with a phone. But a lot of people have fallen into that dopamine and reward loop so that they're losing their fortunes because of their phone. I spent a lot of time in Italy, and I know you love Italy, David, and you see people at these monumental sites, and they're not looking at the sites or experiencing the moment. They're capturing an image to post on the social media.
Yeah.
So in answer to your question, why the 5 a.m. Club now, it's because we are in a world crying for serenity. We have people who I believe have genius inside of them, and they're betraying that genius because they're busy being busy. We live in a world where people are disconnected from humanity because of their technology. And I think we live in a world where a lot of people are just exhausted because of the complexity. And so I believe that at 5 a.m., this is the time of legends, because between the Spartans warriors say it so much better than I could. They say, sweat more in training and you'll bleed less in war.
Ooh, that just gave me chills. Say that one more time.
Sweat more in training and you'll bleed less in war.
Wow.
And so for 20 years, I've been teaching a method called the 5 a.m. Club, where you rise at 5 a.m. and you run a protocol that I call the 20-20-20 formula. We can get into it, but you run the 20-20-20 formula so that by 6 o'clock in the morning, you have rewired your neurobiology. You've re-scripted your metabolic rate. You have programmed yourself for epic creativity, productivity, performance, and humanity out into the world. And the final thing I'd say on that little piece is, as you live your days, so you craft your life. So if you get your mornings right, you'll have consistently great days. Consistently great days manufacture a world-class life.
Amen. I mean, you speak to my heart, because the secret to my success has been that since I graduated from college, I get up to 5 a.m. Yeah. So I have always been one of these people, a late day for me is 5:30. But I don't want to go into what my protocol is. I want to hear what your protocol is that you recommend. So first of all, literally break it down. Like if someone goes, what does he mean 5 a.m.? Like, explain it. Like you're telling people to get up at 5 a.m., correct?
Correct.
And tell them, tell them why, again, just so really I know you don't want to get up at 5 a.m. If you're somebody who doesn't want to get up at 5 a.m., tell them why they need to get up at 5 a.m. And then tell them why there aren't any excuses, and then what you do in this 2020 process.
So the first thing for all your viewers from around the world, David, I would say genius is not about genetics. Genius is about practice. And so for any one of your many viewers who would say, well, Robin, that sounds great, but grandma couldn't get up at 5 and my dad couldn't get up at 5. I don't have 5 a.m. rising genes. I would say you've got to remember the research of University College London that says it takes 66 days of practice on a new skill before it becomes automatic. First point. So anyone can do this. We're built for transformation. Most people just don't give enough time. The second thing I would say is I start at 4:45 roughly, because I like that little window before I start. Now it's 5 o'clock. Let's get into the 20-20-20 formula that I really go deeper into in the book. The first pocket from 5, I know you want to get granular, from 5
I do.
Which is great. 5 to 5:20, I call the first pocket move. And I know that's important to you. And that's simply about, as soon as you get up at that 5 a.m. point, you want to start moving, because you're going to activate the neurobiology of world class. By moving and sweating, you're going to release BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which is actually going to repair brain cells damaged by stress. You're going to reduce cortisol, the fear hormone, which is highest in the morning. You're going to release dopamine, which is the inspirational neurotransmitter. You're going to release serotonin, which makes you feel happy even if you're the crankiest person in the room. You're going to increase your metabolic rate, and energy is more valuable than intelligence. So now it's 5:20 after that first pocket of the 20-20-20 formula. You feel fundamentally different. You've optimized your brain. You're feeling happier. You're feeling more alive. Now, second pocket. 20-20-20 formula from 5:20 to 5:40. This is reflect. So this is where you want to write in a journal for 20 minutes, or you want to meditate for 20 minutes. You want to visualize for 20 minutes. You don't want to live someone else's life during the day. You want to live your life and anchor to your priorities. 20 minutes of reflection. Now, final 20 minutes of the 20-20-20 formula is the third pocket, grow. We know that world-class performers are exceptional because they love to learn, right? So we never want to lose a white belt mentality. The moment you think you're a master is the path of becoming a beginner. So 5:40 to 6 o'clock, that's when you listen to podcasts. That's when you read. That's when you listen to audiobooks. That's when you review your game chart. So I've just walked you through the 20-20-20 formula, which is at the core of the 5 a.m. Club method. Now,
you've been doing this for at least 2 decades. I know you've coached CEOs and billionaires, and you've found that it's not just a science, but a common link among successful people that they tend to all do this similar practice. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I know, tell us about how the story works in your book that, the mentor that teaches this lesson.
Well, so the book is like The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari in the sense it's a story. And there's these three characters. And the book starts off in this big hall where there's a dazzling speaker. And two of the characters, one is an artist, and his deal is he has brilliance in him, but he's suffering from acute procrastination and apathy. And the other student sitting in this hall is a tech entrepreneur. And she's struggling with dealing with a pretty serious business issue. And after the seminar is over, this homeless man comes up to them and says, "Hey, what did you cool cats think about the presentation?" And they said, "Well, it's the whole idea about the 5 a.m. club." And this leads to this mysterious, eccentric, magical journey where the homeless person, I'll just simply say, sends over his jet and takes the artist and the entrepreneur on a ride that goes between Mauritius, Rome, Sao Paulo, and ends up in Robben Island. And, what's the common theme of the billionaires that I've coached, and the common theme behind the book? The common theme is simply this. Exterior empires are always preceded by interior empires. And if you want to increase your income, look, you're the master at the financials, but if you want to increase your income, increase your self-identity. If you want to increase your influence, increase your service to the world. If you want to increase your productivity, I believe it's an inner sport. And there's a very disruptive model, David, that I introduce in the book because, a lot of people in personal development and peak performance talk about everything is mindset. Have you seen that? Everything is mindset. And I actually believe... And we've been hearing it for centuries, like, your thoughts form your world, positive thinking. Well, here's my humble suggestion. Mindset's only 25% of the equation for world class in the world, because you can have a great mindset, but if you have a toxic heart set, you're never going to change the game. So I've introduced this word mindset plus heart set, but that's still only 50%. Mindset and heart set without a world-class health set, you don't want to die, right? You're not going to change the world if you're diseased.
Yeah.
There's mindset, heart set, and health set. But then there's the final, what I call interior empire, which is soul set. And that's where you turn down the voice of your ego so that everything you do is about creating ridiculous value for everyone around you, and you live for a cause that's larger than yourself. And I believe those 4 interior empires precede every other interior empire. And a lot of the 5 a.m. Club introduces readers to that concept.
So it's so interesting hearing you talk about this. And again, I'm getting chills because I love to learn from you. And one of the questions I was curious about personally about you is this soul set aspect, because we know a lot of people who become very successful, and not everybody as they become very successful is actually able to manage it well, right? Like a lot of times success doesn't bring out the best in people. It depends on the person. And I've seen you do 2 things in the last 10 years, which is extraordinary. One is that you look younger. So I know that you've gone on this movement about health as we're all starting to get older here. And I noticed that you look younger to me than you did 10 years ago. So I'm curious about what you're doing physically and teaching your students to do to be younger, healthier. And then I also would love to hear your soul sets process, because you're known for, here's one thing I want to give you the ultimate compliment, because I'll never forget seeing you. When when we first met, was doing a keynote event in Canada. And I think there were like 10,000. Yeah. And there might have been, I forget, 5 or 10,000 people at that event. And I hadn't met you yet. And I was watching you from all the way in the back of the room. And as you came out on stage, you have this soulful presence about you that just, you're like a magnet. I watched this room, thousands of people just lean into you because of who you were being. And your words are so powerful, but it's who you are as a human being. And you even started with that. So how have you, Robin, the human being, been able to stay so grounded and soul connected as you've become world famous, successful, and had this huge impact? What's kept you the soulful human being that you are today?
That's such a brilliant and meaningful question to me. And thank you for the incredible, kind words. I'd say a bunch of things about staying grounded and soulful. First of all, I'm my father's son. My father grew up from very humble beginnings. And he used to share something with me when I was growing up, and it come from a poet named Rabindranath Tagore. And he said, Robin, when you were born, you cried while the world rejoiced. He said, son, live your life in such a way that when you die, the world cries while you rejoice. And so my dad is very much about, he retired 2 years ago after 54 years as a general practitioner.
Wow.
And so, he wasn't encouraging us to be rich and famous. He was encouraging us to be helpful to other human beings. So I think that's one of the reasons, hopefully, I've kept my boots on the ground. Secondly, there's a model I teach to the billionaires and the people that I work with, and it's called the Titan's Decline. And I believe it's a very slippery slope from world-class to obsolescence. I mean, I love studying rock stars, and I love studying the famous movie stars who were masters of their craft, but they fell in love with their social media numbers. They fell in love with the trappings of fame. They fell in love with eating in the right restaurants. So, I pay attention to that because I believe a key to legendary is longevity. It's great, for you and I to be successful as we are, but I'm playing the long game. I want to be around in another 100 years as you do as well.
Yeah. So, I did a talk last night for a small group of young up and coming financial bloggers, podcasters, and writers. And I talked about, I'm still sharing the same message from 24 years ago and why I love that message so much. And my wife said to me, it's amazing that you're still so energetic 24 years later. And I said, because I still love it. And look at the people I got to help. So, I mean, we're just so blessed that we get to go and, make an incredible living, helping people have better lives. And we're lucky. It's not easy. So I also want to acknowledge that. Like, it's not easy. And you just spent, I know there's a lot of pain involved in doing the work that we do too. So 4 hard years of putting out this book. Talk a little bit about that process, right? Because people think that, you get to this level and there's no stress involved. I even told last night, I'm like, my next book that's coming out that's behind me here in May, I'm like, I have as much anxiety about this book as I did the first one. And people think, well, how is that possible? But talk about a little bit of the creator's journey.
Yeah, I'd love to, because I'm so passionate about that, because I think one of the traps of social media is everything looks like it's easy. And you have your new book coming out, the 5 a.m. Club, like I mentioned to you before we got on this session. I'm going to have copies in my hand today. But it was a dangerous ride, and I'll explain what I mean. Just to finish up on the soul set, because it's so important to me, I'd say it's also really important to do the work to build the soul and to stay grounded. And one of the things I did 2 years ago is I went and stood in Nelson Mandela's prison cell. And I saw what he endured. And I went to the limestone quarry and I experienced it. And I study his life. And, when you see that kind of suffering over 27 years, you cannot help be transformed. And then I'd love to get into those fitness ideas as well that you wondered about, because it's a great
what, go there too, because
whatever you want.
It's my ADD. Go to there for a second. Actually, because I read a post about the Nelson Mandela and you talked about how that really inspired you for 2017. Talk about that a little bit more and then go into the health part, and then we'll go to the creative process.
Yeah, I want to go where you want to go. It's just I'm really passionate about this, the fourth interior empire of soulfulness. I think a lot of people in the majority have lost their soul. And you see it a lot on social media, and it's all about the numbers, and it's all about, I think, things that at the end of our lives won't amount to much. Look, I certainly believe in living a gorgeous lifestyle and doing things in style. No sweat, and it's gorgeous, but to me it's a game. It's an illusion. It's really not what it's about. I think ultimately, if we were to strip away the shiny toys, I think life's about two things. It's about becoming. Who are you becoming? Are you becoming kind, creative, productive? Who are you becoming? Are you empathetic? Are you an instrument of service? Who are you becoming? Are you building fluency and intimacy with your human gifts? Number one. And number two, who are you helping? So becoming and helping. To your question about the dangerous ride of finishing the 5 a.m. club, you know, people are going to see, you mentioned you love the cover of the book. People are going to see the book. It's going to roll out around the world over the next, you know, months and years. But what people don't see is what I went through. And I'm really happy to be able to share this because it's very easy for people to go, oh, Robin wrote in hotel rooms, and, you know, drank his lemon tea and did his runs and everything was beautiful, but it wasn't.
You just sat down and went like this and it was all finished, right? Like, no problem.
And it was all finished. Well, here's, you know, it took me 4 years and there were times where nothing flowed. People took some of the original material that I was sharing on social media. Then when I had vision, like a vision for the book or pieces I wanted to share, some of the ideas were so disruptive and so foreign because I believe the whole idea of the game is to turn the industry on the field that suppliers I was dealing with said it can't be done. And so what I was trying to do, and I'm not saying I did it, but I was trying to do my Sistine Chapel ceiling, and I was dealing with people who wanted to get out of the office at 5 o'clock. And this wasn't my team, but it's, you know, you and I are in the business of possibility. And when you try to do something majestic as a creator, you're going to run into people who are in the business of can't. And they're going to misunderstand you, and they're going to laugh at you, and they're going to ridicule you. And they're going to, you know, this morning, I'm getting ready for the Titan Summit, which is 3 weeks away, and a line came to me, and it's like, translate your walls into windows. And that sounds so obvious, and it sounds like I get it, but it's so rarely practiced. Because when you want to go out in the world and do something amazing, whether it's a piece of code or a new bakery or a family or a project that's going to change the world, the very nature of a heroic act means you are going to threaten the majority. And they're going to see you as a freak or crazy, and they're going to put up these walls. And so writing the 5 a.m. Club over 4 years, I dealt with all of that stuff. And, you know, there were times, even today, like this morning, I woke up exhausted. And I go, well, why am I so exhausted? And this has been a really busy year for me in terms of the book. Like, the last thing I'd say about it is I just wanted every line handcrafted. And so I wouldn't let it go. And that is an exhausting process.
So now I'm curious as an author, did you write the book first, complete it to the point where you loved it and then sold it? Or did you have a publisher waiting for you to get this thing done? Because I'm curious about that, because I'll tell you what I just went through with the Latte Factor. This is the only time I've ever done this, Robin. I didn't sell the book and then go write it. I was so desirous of having like my piece of art that I'm like, I'm going to work on this book until, just like you, I felt it was perfect. And then I'm going to sell it because I didn't want a publisher telling me it was due and wanting to give me changes. So what happened for you? How did it work for you?
Yeah, I think your approach is really great. Like, perfect it and then sell it. What I did was I started writing the book about 4 years ago. And then about roughly a year ago, I went to HarperCollins and I said, I've got this book and here's, you know, the 5 a.m. Club. And we thought it would be like 6 months because it was almost done. And I found the deeper I got, the less I wanted to let it go. And so they were saying, we need the book. Here's the deadline. And I just said, I can't put my name on it until it's done. And it was just, you know, they were very generous with me, but I wanted to do my best to release magic. And that was part of the messiness of this.
I love it. I can feel you. I went through this little book right here, The Automatic Millionaire. I rewrote this book and rewrote this book and rewrote this book. And to the point when the publisher one day, they basically ripped this book out of my hand at the end.
Yeah.
It was one of those moments where back in 2004, because you and I met when I launched this book. I got a call from my publisher, and they said, at 3:00, you are done touching this book. And I am not joking. I was changing it at 2:59, and at 3:06, I was asking for more changes, and the editor was like, "You're done." Why was this book? Was this the hardest book for you that you've done?
By far. It's because it's a story. So I wanted to get the story right. I wanted it to be, it's even a love story.
You can see that in your eyes.
It's a love story. Like here's another thing. I had a vision for the cover. If you look at the cover, there's that little icon up.
Just trying to show that, by the way, if you can see that. I don't know. You have to look. Yeah, exactly. We'll have a link on Amazon, but the cover is just gorgeous. Talk about the cover. How did that happen?
Well, there's this pirate hat and the Cupid, and again, some of the people around me, with great respect, but it's like, why is there a pirate hat and a Cupid? This won't sell around the world. People won't understand it. The skull and crossbones will turn people off. But, David, I believe instinct is so much more powerful than intellect. And so that's part of the war on the 5 a.m. Club, writing it. It's everyone's here. It won't sell because there's a skull and crossbones. What the heck is the Cupid doing there? We need a clean cover. It won't show well on Amazon. And I'm going, hey, this is coming from a deeper place than trying to sell a book. And so, the skull and crossbone is because the homeless guy, who turns out to be a billionaire, is part business builder and part pirate. And the Cupid on the cover, and I don't want to give too much away, but there's a love story that unfolds. So it was hard because I wanted to get the story right. It's hard because I had these mental models in there. It was hard because there's even drawings in there. I'll tell you a quick story, but I wasn't happy. I'm not kidding you. 3 weeks before the book was due, I said, I don't like the drawings in the book. And so I went online and I found this brilliant artist in China. And I said, I want her to redo the drawings in the book. And I was told she's not available for a year. And I convinced her agent to do it. And then they said she's going to need 12 weeks. And then they said, impossible. And here's what I did. 6 days later, the drawings were produced and sent over to my publisher.
6 days later. Wow. See, these are the stories that most people never get to hear about what goes into the creative process. And I could do a whole nother interview with you on what you're doing to launch the book, because people don't realize how much goes in. What are some of the things you're doing? Give like a synopsis of what it takes for you to go out. This book will open on the bestseller list. It'll be on the international bestseller list, but it won't just happen. What are some of the things that you're doing? I'm talking a month before the book comes out. What do you have in store to make this book, to get the message out, right? Because like you just said, look, it's not about selling books. You're going out to try to change millions of people's lives. What are you actually doing in the next 30, 60, 90 days to go make that happen?
Well, it might surprise you, but not that much. And here's why, because I think, our field is all about how are you going to launch the book and how are you going to market the book? And one day I want to do a presentation called Love Marketing, because I'm a lot less about how do you launch a book and how do you do partnerships, and a lot more about if you produce a piece of magic because you work with love, and I believe you put that out in the world, then people are smart enough to find it. And if it really is something special, they're going to tell everyone all about it. So we don't really have a launch plan and all that kind of thing. I mean, I've been mentioning it on Instagram and we have a book trailer, but if I've done my job well, the book is going to go #1 worldwide. And if I haven't done my job well, then the book's not going to sell much.
I'm taking that all in. I still know that there's a bunch of work you're going to do to get this book out there. Now you have a huge social following, right? So you've got millions of fans. And so that's the beginning. That's all it's about, right? It's your community.
Sure.
So you gave me a few questions before we got to talk today. One of them, and I didn't ask you yet, was about the habit installation protocol. Do you want to talk about that?
Sure, absolutely. So one of the models in the book is called the habit installation protocol, and it'll teach anyone how to create a habit that lasts a lifetime. And in the book, the model has all these tactics that people can run through to install the 5 a.m. club habit. High level view briefly right now, I'll simply share every habit goes through 3 phases. And again, it takes 66 days, according to the research of University College London, for a new habit to reach what they call automaticity, which is the point where it actually becomes easier to get up at 5 a.m. or easier to do your workout or whatever the habit is than not to do it. Automaticity. Okay.
By the way, that's an amazing word that I've never heard before, and I'm going to be using that. Automaticity. I love that.
Yeah, it's automaticity. So over those 66 days, I've actually deconstructed the process into the model that's in the book. Let me share the 3 phases. Number 1, disruption. This is the roughly 20 days where you destroy your old habit. I mean, we already have all these habits that we run subconsciously. We need to destroy those before we can install the new ones. So roughly 20 days of the 66 days is disruption. Number 2, integration. That is a dangerous part of the game, because integration, it's like a home renovation. You're tearing down old neural walls and emotional walls before the new renovation, which is the new habit, can be installed. So that middle 20-day period, is this making sense so far, David?
No, it is. And I'm thinking about it in my own life. So
yeah.
So I'm visualizing the exact process of what I've done in my life, but also how I would utilize this.
Awesome. So after disruption, there's integration, the second 20-day period. And that's a messy part. You're going to feel like giving up. You're going to say, I can't get up early. This is not for me.
Is it usually the second 20 days that people break down?
Yeah, because the brain tattoo that I talked about, that the model is based on in the book, is all change is hard at first, messy in the middle, gorgeous at the end.
I'll tell you one thing that I find super interesting about what we're talking about right now is that I've never heard the 66-day theory from the School of London. I was raised on the 21-day theory. And 66 days actually makes a lot more sense to me, because I think 21 days, and what you're saying is that there really is, there's 21 days first, and then there's 20, and then there's another 20, and there's another 20, right? Like, so they go through the integration process on the second 20 days. What happens on the third part of it?
Implementation. And that's where your neuroplasticity kicks in. So your neural architecture is embracing the new habit of getting up at 5 a.m. But again, it's not only mindset, it's heart set. Your emotional architecture. See, people don't talk about this, but you can intellectually read a book, but you need to emotionally rewire to embrace the knowledge to build traction around it. So in that final piece of implementation, your mindset is being rewired, your heart set is being rewired, your health set is being rewired. And let's not be afraid to talk about this word I'm introducing, soul set. Yeah. Soul set isn't religious. Soul set is the bigger, higher wisdom of you. This is not hold hands and sing Kumbaya. How are you going to change the world as a business titan or filmmaker or a professional athlete if you're not living for a cause that's larger than your ego? So over that final piece, that's mindset, heart set, health set, soul set, implement and integrate the new habit of getting up at 5 a.m. 66 days later, it becomes easier. Now, is this a magic pill? Automatically, do you get up at 5 every day after that? No. Like an elite athlete, you need to hit the gym and practice. You need to maintain getting up at 5 a.m.
So it's really, I'm going to go a little bit, it's funny, I go on a little bit on a tangent here, but so I've been meditating since 2012. I took up transcendental meditation. It's been life-changing. My wife meditates. We wake up at 5 and we meditate at 5:30. And today I literally said to her, we got done with our meditation, and I don't know, are you familiar with transcendental meditation? The TM?
Of course, yes.
And Bob Roth was the incredible soul who trained me on TM. And so I get done with my meditation and I turn to my wife and I said, oh, God, I didn't have a good meditation this morning. And she turns to me like a recording and says, but David, you know, it's not about the 20 minutes of meditation. It's about the 10 hours after the fact. And so it's, when you talk about integration, like we've now been meditating for so long that, oops, sorry about that. we've now been meditating for, since 2012, that it's integrated in our life. We wake up together and we meditate. And I have a wife who's smart enough to remind me when I'm saying, oh, my meditation didn't go well today, to say to me, but it's not about those 20 minutes, David. It's about the next 10 hours.
Yes.
So one thing I'd like you to talk about before we go here, I don't want people to think that this is just for entrepreneurs or business people. Like if I'm a mom or a stay-at-home dad or even there are teenagers doing this. Like talk about who this is for, and maybe even some of the stories that have happened from people who've been doing this under your guidance, because you've been coaching on this for a long time. Like you didn't just sit down and write a book. You've been teaching people to do this for years before, like you said, other people started talking about it.
Yeah, morning routine has become an industry. Probably at that event you were at when we first met 20 years ago, I shared the 5 a.m. club concept. So I've been on this mission for a long time. You're absolutely right, David. I mean, you work with a lot of entrepreneurs. I work with a lot of entrepreneurs, but giving yourself permission to join the 5 a.m. club so you have a victory hour from 5 to 6 where you prepare your mindset, heart set, health set, and soul set, that's going to apply to any human being. If you're a student, if you are a filmmaker, if you are a mother, a father, I mean, look, we live in a world where peace is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Or I put it to you this way, tranquility is the new luxury good.
Tranquility is the new luxury good.
And
that's good.
You cannot, you and I have both worked with people who have billions and they are insecure, frazzled, depleted, unhappy. I believe, and this is a line right out of the book, is you cannot put a price tag on your peace of mind. And so getting up at 5 a.m. is not just an extraordinary methodology for exponential productivity. Getting up at 5 a.m. and running the 20-20-20 formula that I explain in the book is about reclaiming inner peace. It's reclaiming personal honor. It's anchoring to the values that you hold dear and want to build your day and then your life upon. Getting up at 5 a.m. gives you a platform to say, here's who I am, here to reconnect with your talents and your wisdom, and then go into the dangerous, messy world and be an army of one and say, I'm not going to live like everyone else. I was coming home from the office yesterday and it's like, the way people are driving now is insane. It's insane. And
I laugh because I had a taxi driver yesterday listening to prayers. And while he's listening to prayers, he's screaming the F word at every single person that he's driving by. So he's trying to calm himself listening to prayers, honking his horn and screaming the F word at every other cab driver.
Well, I think people are under a lot of pressure.
We are.
And so getting up at 5 a.m. is not just about productivity and creativity. It gives you that sanctuary for an hour to find your peace. So when you go out in the world, you're not activated by that taxi driver. You're not activated by difficult people. You say centered and calm. Well, what's that going to do for your career, your family life, your immune system, and your reputation?
I hate to end this interview because I could keep going forever, but I think it's such a beautiful note that we've ended on. I love the fact you call it a victory hour. And one thing that just hit me as you talked about this is that this is a gift that everyone who's watching can give to themselves, and it doesn't cost anything. There's so much in the world of improving your life where you have to go write checks. And not everybody can do it. And yet what you're teaching is a thing that every single person watching has the ability to go implement in their life. Costs you nothing. It's just getting out of bed.
That is so beautiful. That never occurred to me. You can have nothing and you can still run the 20-20-20 formula and join the 5 a.m. club, because that first pocket is move. You can walk. You can go to a park and do burpees and planks. You can skip. And then the second 20-minute pocket, you're absolutely right, reflect. You can sit in the woods You can sit on a park bench and meditate or pray or write in a journal, which is a game changer. And then the final 20-minute pocket of the 20-20-20 formula, grow. It doesn't cost a penny. You know, you can find a mentor. You can go to the library online, you know, find a free online and watch a YouTube video. So, you know, you're right. It's absolutely no cost.
So I'm putting links all over this video for people to go buy the book. Where else can they reach you? What do you want to send them to tap into your world and learn more from you?
Sure. And thank you for asking. Before I answer that, David, I just want to make one key point, which is the world does need more heroes right now. And I would lovingly challenge each of your many viewers from around the world and readers, which is why wait for more heroes when you have it in you to become one of them. And yeah, if people want to learn more about my work, I'm on Instagram. It's, I don't know what it is. It's Robin Sharma. Just search it, and it's the official one. Its last name is Sharma. We've got a big following on Facebook. Again, I don't know what the handle or whatever it is. Search Robin Sharma. One thing I do know is my website. It's robinsharma.com.
I love your team's going to see this video and they're going to come over and be like, bam, bam, bam. I appreciate though. I love it so much. My friend, I love you. I really do. I hope that I get to see you personally.
Me too.
Versus later. And that our paths connect next year in Italy also. So, you know, Robin spends a lot of time in Rome. I spent quite a bit of time in Florence. And I thank you again for that amazing restaurant recommendation you gave me last time I was in Florence. I'm going to wrap this up and tell everybody, click on this link below. Go get the 5 a.m. Club. Thank you guys for watching David Bach TV. Thank you for being a part of my community. Robin, thank you for doing this. I'm going to sign off here, but stay on for 1 second, then you and I'll have a quick chit chat. Thanks everybody. You've been amazing. Thanks, Robin.